Yep, I am rocking a little DMX in the background while I'm doing this one for you. Because there are some days that people will make you lose your mind. And part of having a dream and inspiration really is managing the stress and everything that sort of comes with that, right? So, as I put in the description, the bigger your dream, let's start with that, or the bigger your goals, or the bigger your assignment, the bigger your responsibility, the more you take on, the more stress you take on because you have more demands on your time. So let me give you just an example so I have a media operation, which is what I'm doing here with you. I have written in the last 5 or 6 years 3 books, one with bestseller. I am leadership in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 real estate brokerages at the same time. I am also into the nonprofit world, working with affordable housing buildings at the same time. In addition to that, my personal life, social life, family life, those are all demands. And they come in at different times, right? Like today, I had 3 meetings at 2 o'clock. Okay, can't really do that. Something has to give. So it's part of that. It's a little bit different at the turn of the century. And when you worked in a factory, maybe you can remember where your grandfather, maybe even your dad, they worked one job. They got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and then they worked that one gig. That was it. Right. So they come home and they just, dealt with the kids, dealt with the family, and then they went back and did their gig. That's it. But in our day, 2021, you're talking about multiple companies, multiple revenue streams. You're driving Uber in the evening, you're working your day job, you got a side gig, you got your side hustle, you got your hobbies, you got all of these things which create a demand. And so you, as the person that is centered, has to learn how to manage the demand. So number one that I can share, what I have to learn is don't take it personal, right? Don't take it personal if people don't recognize how busy you are. If they don't recognize, that you have a lot going on. One of the things that's problematic for us is this little thing here, right? Is because at a click, right? I can send a message to someone. I'm not thinking whether that person is busy, whether that person is sick. I don't even know if that person's still alive. I just got their phone number and I know I need something. And that's the way these demands come in, especially with the age of technology where people can send you an email, they can text you, they can PM you, they can Teams message you, they can invite you to a Zoom meeting. So you've got all of these different things. And then as a result of the pandemic, online meetings have become even more so. So it really is about, number one, is don't personalize the demand. People just don't know. It is frustrating how some people behave because if I hear the word ASAP one more time, do you know how many ASAP requests I get in a day? Could you respond to my call ASAP? Could you send this letter ASAP? Could you come over here ASAP, ASAP, ASAP? Right. And so you get tired of hearing that word after a while, because after a while you become desensitized to that, knowing, well, everything is an ASAP, everything's emergency. So here's the thing, here's how you manage increased demand. It's something I learned years ago, and I have to remember to employ, in fact, just as I'm talking to you, it's kind of coming to my mind. It is urgent versus important. Okay, so every request you get has to go into 2 categories. Either this is urgent or this is important, not by the sender's standards, but by what I determine is urgent, right? So, for example, I have high urgency, which is an emergency, which is fire, flood, or blood. That is typically that's a high level emergency. That's drop everything what you're doing and let's get that. Okay. Then there's just other things that are urgent, but they're not really important. They're urgent to the person. My real estate agent can't find their files. That's urgent to them, but it's not urgent to me. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing because you have an emergency, right? As one of my mentors taught me, he said, poor planning on your part does not create an emergency on my part. Ignorance on your part does not create an emergency on my part. So, what happens in our culture is someone has an emergency on their part. They want to create an emergency with you, and you can't allow to do that. It's bad enough if you have children and they just don't know those boundaries and they just do it. So, when that converges on you, you start hearing that DMX song, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Why? Because I can't respond to all these ASAPs, all of these emergencies, all of these urgencies, and still get the things that are important. Here is the deal. So the other thing. So it's not personalizing it, managing urgent matters. And two, here's the problem about important things. They don't scream. Okay. An important issue will just come and go. Maybe it's important for you to go to that spa. Maybe it's important for you to take some prayer, some meditation, some rest time. Maybe it's important for you just to shut off the phone, but you don't do it. Okay. Well, that is not going to scream at you. But if you don't do that, you may affect your health. My personal physician tells me that people run themselves way past where they should stop because the phone won't stop ringing or they can't get off social media. Do you know we got people on Clubhouse spending 22 hours on Clubhouse a day in conversations? Okay, I don't know if that's urgent or if it's important, but I know there's some things probably not getting done as a result of you doing that. So really it is about bringing organization to your life around what is important versus what is urgent. Here's why. There's always going to be an emergency, and it is not your job to be the first responder. You don't have an S on your chest. You're only one person. And one of the things I've learned is I can't fight all these fronts on my own. I can't do all this on my own. Yes, I've chosen to be in all of these roles and responsibility. And yes, I could make life a little less stressful and a little less demanding if I let go of some of these things. But guess what I give up? I give up impact. I give up influence. I give up the opportunity to reach more people. I don't want to compromise that. So I have to manage the demands as they're coming in. And the only way I can do that is I have to put some boundaries around me. Okay. So for me, I don't take my phone to bed. Okay. I know that's a curse word in this day and age. I know people that sleep with their phone. I don't. That phone stays downstairs. It gets cut off. Okay. I have one day a week that I take off and I don't take calls. I don't take business calls. Right. So I take one day, I'm out because whatever urgency or emergency can wait till the following day. So when you take on more responsibility, you also have to bake in there, how do I keep myself sane? How do I keep from playing the DMX song, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here, right? And I'm starting singing that because I'm getting crazy. I got all this stuff and I can't figure out how to handle it. And I'm getting stressed and there ain't enough alcohol, there ain't enough drugs, there ain't enough whatever gets you happy to keep you from that, because the next day you're going to be thirsty again because the next day comes. So I hope you get a thought out of it. It's just really sit down with yourself when you have those calm days and figure out, how do I put the boundary on? You can put it on by setting a certain amount of hours a day. You can put it on by certain times when you respond to emails or respond to text messages. You don't have to pick up the phone just because it rings or it blings or it shoots off. You can wait and delay when it's the right time for you to respond to that call. I'm seeing people walk down the street. They're trying to take a walk, but they're talking on the phone. They are walking with the phone. They're texting. So it's impossible. We're just not arranged that way. Okay. So we deceive ourselves to believe that I can be fully engaged in this device and focus on what is going on, and it's sudden, and I'm also relaxing at the same time. It really doesn't work. You got to shut it down. And so one of the ways that great leaders know, and we criticize them, but if you look at high level billionaires and people like that, they get away. They take their plane, they take their boat, and they go to places you can't call them, that you can't reach them, and they go for a month and they just shut it down, right? And you think, oh my God, it's irresponsible. Their business is going to fall off. No, they put competent people there in place. So if you are a business person, either you own a business or you have a job, you got to start putting some people there where you can get away. And when you get away, you get a chance to think. See, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, I need a vacation. I need a getaway, right? But wealthy people learn the power of getaways. Poor people think like they're working in a factory and they just don't get away. So just want to encourage you to kind of think about how to manage your time, how to manage your energy flow, how to manage your intake, outtake, and then putting those things in the quadrant of, is this urgent by my standards of what urgency is, or is this important? And I don't want to overlook something that's important. Mom, right? That's not urgent, but that's important. We need to connect. My kids want me to stop and have a conversation with them while I'm trying to get a deadline of a project. I got a choice to make, right? The project's urgent, but my kid's important. And this is what we have in our culture, is that we'll tell the kid, go watch SpongeBob. I'll be back with you. Well, they've lost that moment. You don't get those moments. You think, well, it's the kid. Yeah, but in their mind, you just brush them off. So sometimes you got to put down the phone, the paper, the laptop, and say, honey, let's talk. What's going on? Right? I used to have to do that a lot, that my daughter would pick a time when it was not convenient for me, and that's the time she wanted to talk, and I had to shut it down for that 10 or 15 minutes and have that conversation. It wasn't urgent, but it was certainly important. Hey, this is Lewis Howard Live, just kind of throwing some thoughts at you. This is like home cooked meals. I know you guys know all this stuff, but it is my job to kind of stir it up and remind you to remind yourself as you move to add the ingredients that makes for a good recipe that help you become the best version of yourself. We'll see you again on another